Hi folks, and welcome to another amazing video of Money Spam. And today I am going to tell you about a web hosting which you can use completely for free. And in fact, it is not a simple web hosting, it is a VPS web hosting. And nobody seems to be talking about it because actually on YouTube, every affiliate marketer is trying to make money out of the viewers. So if you want to host your website completely for free, that also on a VPS hosting, and not only that, it is backed by a very reputed company. Do you want to do that? So keep watching. So without delay, let's go to my screen because it is going to be a little longer video. So the hosting we are going to use comes from AWS. Yes, it comes from AWS and you get 1 GB of your RDS. Now for people who don't know what RDS is the database server. So you get 1 GB of database server and 1 GB of hosting or VPS completely for free. Yes, so you get 2 GB in total, 1 GB for the deep database and 1 GB for the VPS. And not only that, you get SSD on that VPS which comes around 30 GB, which is allowed. Technically, you can run a separate Windows instance and you can also run a separate Linux instance on same trial period as well. But the problem is the Windows instance itself comes at around 28 GB or 30 GB of AMI. AMI is the image. Okay, don't worry, I will tell you everything step by step so that you don't get lost anywhere. Just keep watching and I will clear each and every of your doubt. So if you run a Windows AMI, you cannot run a Linux AMI. And even though the billing cycle for both of them are different, but the disk constant is there, because if you use the Windows one, your 30 GB is gone because the AMI size itself is 30 GB. If you go with the Linux, even if you use less disk, you cannot spin another Linux instance because that will charge you extra money. So you are stuck. You are stuck with only one instance. Technically, you cannot run two instances. Alright, I have been running a lot of instances, actually close to 300 instances in this particular account on this reason. I also run VPS instances on US East as well, and I think that is around 400 as well. So all in total I run 700 instances for various different projects. These are not just for the hosting. As a professor, I'm a software engineer as well, so I do a lot of stuff on the technical front as well, not just the affiliate marketing stuff. So if I come down and if I show you the free tier for AWS, it gives you 750 hours, that is per month. Okay, and apart from that, S3 is there, RDS is there that we are going to use. S3 if you want you can use. And apart from all this, there is also the DynamoDB, which I don't prefer, I don't like that much. And the EBS volume limit is 30 GB, which is full SSD. Okay, it is not HDD, it is SSD. So in a month, if you will calculate the hours, it comes down to around 720 hours. So they give you 30 hours for free. We will be using 720 hours and your VPS will be running throughout the year and you won't get billed at all. Yeah. So in the starting, I'm not going to tell you how to make an account on AWS. You can just go to AWS, search for AWS, make an account. And during the trial activation, they will ask you for a single dollar. Yes. And that is the single dollar payment you will be doing throughout your year. That they do only to validate that the credit card that you are attaching to this trial is not. Remember, a lot of services charge you a lot on AWS. So please stick to only things that I'm going to teach you in this video. Anything extra you spend, you will be charged. Just imagine anything extra you are going to spend, you are going to get charged. So let's continue. So everything starts with the launch instance button. You click on it and from there you go to AWS Marketplace. In AWS Marketplace, you need to search for Ubuntu. Now there are multiple versions of Ubuntu, but I will suggest you to go with Ubuntu 18.04 because it has the best compatibility with the rest of the softwares in the market as of now. And here you need to select T2 Micro. In couple of reasons, AWS has even T3 and in some of very rare of them T4 instances as well that are free. But for the most common scenario, T2 micro is the one which is free and it is written there free tier eligible. So you get one virtual core and 1 GB of RAM and 30 GB of disk that we will be using. Okay, so we will select this, we will press next. Alright, here you need to pay attention to your subnet. Yes, I have a lot of subnets here, but you need to really pay attention to the subnet because with whichever subnet you will choose your instance to be in, your VPS to be in, you need to select the same one for your RDS as well. Make sure your public IP is selected. Public IP should be enabled because that is what we are going to use in your domain to link your VPS to your domain. And here the default is 8 GB, but we are going to use 29 just to be safe and not exceed the 30 GB mark. Okay, and just press next, and the name tag we will put as test instance, as simple as that. And here this is the security group. Security group is basically the firewall. You configure it as you want, but I will say minimum ports that you will need access to will be 22 for SSH. You will be needing HTTPS port and you will be needing HTTP port. Apart from that, you will be needing port 10,000 because we will be installing webmin on top of this VPS so that you get a full-fledged control panel to go with this hosting. And if you put the firewall rule as 000/0 as I have entered, then it will allow any IP to access this. And that is what we are going to need for HTTP and HTTPS, because obviously your website should be accessible from everywhere. So for now, I'm going to set everything as open. I'm not putting any kind of firewall rules, but when you configure and once your server is set up, you make sure your firewall rules are properly set up. And here you generate a key. So I'm already have a key, so I'm going to use that key and I'm going to click on launch instances. You can create a key, and that is very simple here. It will just generate a random key with the name that you give and you can download that key. So I have my instance ready now. It is in initialization stage and we will take this public IP. Okay, and this is the IP that we will use to do SSH that allows you to connect to a remote machine. And in this particular case, the remote machine will be our VPS. Okay, before we do SSH there, we need to come to our whichever domain provider you are using. And in my case, I use Namecheap, and if you don't have a domain, you can go and purchase one from my link in the description. It is an affiliate link, but Namecheap is one of the cheapest to buy domains from. And here right now it is pointing to my ClickFunnels, so I'm just going to delete that, and I'm just going to add a record which will say www, and I'm going to point it to my VPS IP, and okay, and it is done. If I ping my website, which is vyn.com right now, it should ping my VPS IP. So if you will see, the IP is matching between my VPS and the ping that I am doing. So in my case, the DNS is already propagated, but in your case, it may not happen immediately. It can take 24 hours to 48 hours for DNS propagation to completely happen. So don't panic. So since it is already configured, we can just do a SSH with our domain name itself. Don't worry, all these commands I will mention in the description. So we are inside our Ubuntu instance now. Yes, this is the free VPS we are going to use. Right now it doesn't have a control panel. We are going to install a control panel on top of it. wget, and I'm going to try to install it from the install script for virtual main. Don't worry, all these commands will be in the description, so you can directly copy and start using it. I'm just going to give it a sudo permission, escalator permission, so that it doesn't have issues installing these softwares. And just I'm going to install the run. So in the meantime, we should go and actually install our RDS. To get to the RDS, just search RDS in the search panel and you will land on this screen. I already have a couple of DB instances, but we are just going to create a new database. And here we are going to select MySQL because WordPress and all the general websites use MySQL. And here remember to select the 5 series. So in this particular case, we will select 5.7. I've chosen production database identifier as test name, and these will be your master username and password, whatever you configure here. This is the credential that you are going to use when you will install WordPress or any other software for that matter. So I'm just going to put a master password, which is test instance, because I'm not intending to keep it. Now it is not allowing me to select the free tier here. So remember the option that we choose for production, we need to switch it to free tier, and now you will have DBT2 micro, which is the free instance. Don't select anything else. Now 20 GB of your database size is free. So go with 20 GB, don't touch anything else. Okay, if you will increase it, you will start getting cost. We don't want auto scaling and all, because they all charge you money. Subnet group and all we will allow. We don't want to configure right now. If you want to configure firewall rules, you can go ahead and create a subnet, and then on top of that subnet you can configure new firewall rules. Okay, so we are going to put the availability zone. Now this is very important, because if you put your VPS in a different zone and if you put your DB in a different zone, the transfer cost will exist. But if both of them are in the same availability zone, within the same availability zone, AWS doesn't charge you money. So you should keep both of them in the same zone, because you want everything for free, right? So we selected there the availability zone as 2B. We are just going to confirm that. Yeah, so in the networking, it is actually 2B. So we are going to select 2B. And with database options, we need to create a database. So I'm just going to give an instance called test_instance name, but put it whatever database name you want to put, and click on create database. Okay, so underscore is not acceptable, and click on create database. So now my database is getting created. In the meantime, let's go and install the virtual main. So it is saying my memory size is less than 1.5 GB. Yes, that is true. So what we are going to do is, it is already suggesting to use minimal flag. So we are going to run with minimal flag, and it is saying yes to continue to create swap file. Yes, we are going to do all that, because swap file is needed because our memory capacity is a little low. Don't worry, it is low for just the virtual main. You will be able to run 3 full-fledged WordPress website easily on this. I'm telling you, easily you can run 3 WordPress websites with small to medium traffic with no problem at all. Okay, so don't worry about this. This is the requirement just to get virtual main installed, because it creates a lot of files. So in the meantime, the virtual main is installing. So I will advise, don't stop virtual main installation in between. You can stop it using Control-C or Control-X or Control-Z, and you will instead of running this command in front end, you will go to back end. But remember, don't do that, because if you stop it midway, it might get stuck. If that happens, remember to terminate the instance and create the new instance. Okay, that will not cost you any money if you run only one T2 micro instance at one time. So that is the condition. One T2 micro instance one time. So you terminate it, wait for it to get terminated, and start a new one in case you mess it up. Okay, so nothing to worry, your data will be gone, but you don't have to worry, because in the starting when you will be installing all this, there won't be a website at all, right? So you don't have to worry about all that. So the virtual main is installing now. It will take around 5 to 10 minutes to complete actually altogether. So in the meantime, what we can do is we can attach an elastic IP. Yes, AWS gives you elastic IP, and the condition for elastic IP is as long as the instance is running to which elastic IP is attached. Okay, the instance to which elastic IP is attached at that particular time, elastic IP cost is free. But if you stop the instance and that elastic IP you are still owning, then you will be charged. So in this particular case, we are not going to stop the instance at all. We will be running it throughout the year. Correct? We will be running it throughout the year, because we are not going to pay for that instance. It is a trial instance, and it is legally allowed to use it completely throughout the year. Condition is only one instance T2 micro of 1 GB RAM. Okay, so we are going to just click on allocate, and we are just going to allocate one IP from action, and we are going to associate it with our test instance. As simple as that. Now once I click associate, we can check that the new IP will be assigned to our test instance. If we will go there and we will see the public IP, see, it is the new IP now. So now you need to go back to your Namekeep account or whatever domain hosting you are using to reflect it to this particular IP. Now why we did this? We did this because if you stop and start the instance, start an instance, and if it doesn't have an allocated IP, if it doesn't have an elastic IP, then what will happen is your IP will change. But if you have a elastic IP associated with the instance, doesn't matter how many times you stop or start the instance, your IP is going to become consistent, and it is dedicated IP for yourself. It is not going to be shared with any other instance. Yes, you get a dedicated IP free with this VPS as well. All right. So let's see the status. So it is still getting virtual machine is still installing. And if we see our test instance, the IDS instance, IDS is our MySQL server, just to remind. So it is getting backed up, so it is ready. Now this is the endpoint. Now endpoint is what? Endpoint is your MySQL server name. Yes. So let's keep a note of. So for WordPress, MySQL host name or DB server name, this is the instance you are going to use. And the username is whatever master username we created, which was test instance. Okay. And the password also I kept it as test instance. So these are the credentials that you can use to install the WordPress website. And if you don't know how to install a WordPress website, please watch my first video. In the first video, I taught you guys how to install a WordPress step by step. In second video, I taught you how to design the WordPress website. So all those you can check on my channel, my first two videos. Okay, so let's check the status for virtual machine. It is still installing. Okay, it takes around 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes 10 to 15 minutes. So it takes time to install because it does a lot of packages download. Okay, so our virtual machine has finally finished installation, and this is the IP that it gave to start. And if you will notice, the IP that it is reflecting is the private IP. So we are not going to go with that. We are going to use our domain name because our domain name is already pointing to this VPS, and we are going to use 10,000 port. And it is going to ask for a couple of post setup step. Yes, there is a SSL issue. Don't worry about it. And in case you don't know your root credentials, because I'm assuming you are learning how to do webmin installation and do a SSH and everything. So remember, you need to do a sudo su passwd. You need to reset the password. These commands, everything I will mention in the description. So change the root password to something that you can remember, and same credentials we are going to use here. We are going to put root and the password that you reset it to, and we are going to finish the post completion state. So yes, we are going to use RAM here. We don't want the database in the next step. Yeah, and then it is asking for storing as plain text. So for now I'm going to allow it, but if you are going to use it as a production cluster, means you are going to take your websites live on it, I highly advise you to select the second option instead. Press next, and this is the important part. Set up virtual server. Yes, you should create one for your domain, and every time you want to start a new domain, you want to create a virtual server. And there is options, there is a proper UI for everything, so you don't have to worry about it. And the second part is also very important. Enable SSL on the default server. Always go with the last option, which is the Let's Encrypt certificate, because it is a free SSL certificate that anyone can use, and it doesn't cost you money, and that gets you the padlock as well. Okay, not the red thing that it is saying insecure. Okay, so select that, press next. It will take a minute, and your server is completely ready to go. See, it is complete. We can click on recheck and refresh the config, and you will see everything will come up fine. And to check the disk space, you can use the command df-h, and see it is having 29 GB that we requested. 3 GB got used as operating system uses, but you still have 26 GB, which is more than enough. Actually, a lot of hostings doesn't give you more than 5 GB. So 26 GB for free is like getting a goodies, man. Okay, so same thing for checking the memory. You can use the free-m command, and see it is having 978 MB, and if you will see the use, it is only 250. So you have 750 MB around for free, which is more than enough to run 3 WordPress websites, unless they are heavily loaded websites. So I'm assuming if you are starting and if you are looking for free hosting, I don't think you have a heavily used website. So you can straight away go ahead and use this. So let me show you the control panel, just in case. If you want to create a new domain, you can come and create the new domain where I just showed you, and you can come down to file manager, and you can actually upload the file here, or you can upload the wordpress.zip file here, and you can start with the installation straight away. And if I open this with 80 port, which is the default port, you will see that it is showing under construction. Now where is this coming from? This is coming from this index.html. If I create a new file here, I can show you that it is properly working. So create a new file. Let's name it text.txt, and let's dump some random text here. Okay, and if I try to open this, it will open here. All right, so our control panel is set up. We have a file manager, we have our database setup, which is separate 1 GB instance, and you can go ahead and you can install your WordPress, and you have a free hosting for 1 year. All right, and that also not a simple hosting, it's a VPS hosting. So have fun.